Hello, YouTube coin collectors and stackers. Today we're going to be looking at commemorative coins and other coins that are related to celebrating veterans and Veterans Day, from famous generals to famous events in different branches of the military, schools, and other things. I don't have a complete collection. We'll be looking at the ones I do have and discussing some of the ones that I don't have. But before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's really making a difference. Yesterday we crossed 1,000 subs, which is incredible. And I thank everyone who took the extra time to do that. I really, sincerely do appreciate it. So let's start with a man that needs no introduction, George Washington. So George Washington obviously was the commander during the Revolutionary War. He actually started off in the Virginia militia in the French and Indian War, and he became the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution, right? And then after, even years after the Revolution, he was the lieutenant general and commander-in-chief from 1798 to 1799. And this, of course, commemorates 200 years of the Declaration of Independence. This is the old bust of Washington that's been replaced by the one I'll show you in a moment. And here is a representation of a veteran. That's a Minuteman, and he is drumming away there. So this is the Drummer Boy Quarter, as it's commonly known. In 1932, a lot of people don't know this, but Lauren Garden Frazier, who designed many coins for the U.S. Mint, including teaming up with her husband to design the Oregon Trail commemorative, her husband being the famous James Earl Frazier. She was the runner-up for the quarter in 1932, and this is the design. So in 1999, they released this gold quarter, and features her design, different bust of George Washington. Probably my favorite eagle on any U.S. coin is this one right here. This would have been on the quarter in 1932, but John Flanagan ended up getting that commission for the quarter. And if you recognize this bust, it's because it's on the women quarters that came out a few years ago and are ending this year. So there's your George Washington, very famous, obviously, very, very famous veteran. Next up on coins, we have Ulysses S. Grant. So he graduated from the U.S. Military Academy in 1843. He served in the Mexican-American War and resigned in 1854. A lot of that was rumors to do with drunkenness and other things, but who knows. But he resigned in 1854. He rejoined the Army at the beginning of the Civil War, where he secured some key victories like the Siege of Vicksburg. And of course, his efforts eventually culminated in Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse in 1865, and he went on to be president and so forth. And a bit of a controversial presidency at that. So then we have someone who probably should be on more coins, and I'm sure he's on some I don't have. And why do I have the Mount Rushmore coin here? Well, we have Washington as a veteran there. We see him there. And Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt started off in the New York National Guard in 1884. He then became the lieutenant colonel of the 1st Volunteer Cavalry. Most of us know that as the Rough Riders, which he led during the Spanish-American War. And his very famous charge up San Juan Hill earned him a posthumous Medal of Honor. He later became Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Of course, he was president. And he even attempted to serve in World War I following his presidency. But by that time, he was a little too old and he was denied service. But man, he was definitely a badass kind of guy, Teddy Roosevelt. Next up, we have Dwight D. Eisenhower, and he's on a lot of coins, including, I'm going to zoom out for this one of my favorite, crazy boxes of all time in the commemorative series, this long box with one coin in it, which is your Eisenhower Centennial, and that features Eisenhower as both president, and then behind him as the 5-star general in 1990. So he was born in 1890. He passed away in 1990. And one of the things that's really cool about him, obviously I'm getting into some of the history of what he did, but from a coin collecting standpoint, his favorite thing to give out was Morgan silver dollars for Christmas. And he would always make sure they were from 1890, which was the year that he was born. So Eisenhower was graduated from West Point in 1911. And here he is on this part of the 5-star general commemorative set. So we'll look at all of these coins. He was a lieutenant. I'm sorry. He was while he did. I'm sorry. I'm losing my spot here. Well, he graduated from West Point in 1911. He did not see action in World War I. He did command a tank training brigade at Camp Colt, and was later assigned to George C. Marshall during World War II, We all know he then rose to become the Supreme Allied Commander, and he was instrumental in planning and leading D-Day. Here he is on the Eisenhower or Ike silver dollar, which isn't really, well, this one does happen to be silver, but that's 40% silver. We called it a silver dollar growing up. So he planned D-Day, and I have a couple of the D-Day commemoratives here. I think these are both proofs they are, so we'll just look at one. I thought I had one of each. And so let me look at the better one. Let's look at the whiter one, the one that's not so toned. So here's your D-Day. So Eisenhower was instrumental in planning and leading D-Day on June 6, 1944, and we have the D-Day commemorative dollar here. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Dwight D. Eisenhower. This coin was minted in West Point. You can see by the W there. And it was released in this 1991 to 95. I believe this was a 1995. Correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect on that one. So going to another coin, we see, let's go back to that commemorative we were looking at over here, which has Eisenhower with another gentleman, George C. Marshall. So George C. Marshall was the chief of staff of the U.S. Army under Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry Truman. He was also responsible for the Marshall Plan. So this was the plan to rebuild Japan and Europe after World War II. And so that was what he was famous for. And Eisenhower worked under him for a while before rising up as well. On this other coin over here, so I'm looking at, this is the 5-star general commemorative set. So we have two other generals here. We have Omar N. Bradley. You might remember they named the Bradley fighting vehicle after him. But he commanded the largest force under any one man in World War II. He was the first chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he's recognized for having, at least at a particular point in time, the single longest military career in U.S. history. So very distinguished man. And next to him on the left there is Henry Hap Arnold. And Henry Hap Arnold was a pioneering airman. He was actually taught to fly by the Wright brothers, who themselves had no military service, but were soon selling airplanes to the U.S. Army. And he was the commander of the Army Air Forces in World War II. So that's Henry Hap Arnold and Omar Bradley. So we have some other distinguished folks here. I'm just getting my stuff organized over here. It's not cooperating. Sorry about that. So let's look at these two gentlemen. On the left we have Robert F. Kennedy, and on the right we have John F. Kennedy. And if you recognize this set, the Kennedy half dollar on the right there is a special proof. Well, it's a special half dollar. It's the lowest, I think, 62,000. It's the lowest Kennedy half dollar ever made. Happens to be this half dollar right here. So this proof, like this guy in a mint state like 70 gets like up to $400 from one of these guys. It's just 1998 Kennedy clad half dollar. But why? John F. Kennedy served in the Navy. He commanded PT 109. And he was famous for his actions taken after PT 109 was rammed by a Japanese destroyer in August 1943. He then went on to rescue his crew, get them to safety, for which he earned a Purple Heart and Navy and Marine Corps medals for his service on PT 109. His brother Robert also served in the Navy. He didn't see any action in World War II, but he was an apprentice seaman on the destroyer Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., which I believe was named after his father, honorably discharged in 1946. So both of these gentlemen served in the Navy. So now I'm just going to kind of quickly run through some of the other ones we have here. But before we do, I really want to get to General MacArthur. So General MacArthur, which we see on this gold coin here, which is kind of cool. General MacArthur, of course, famous for all of his efforts in the Pacific Theater and leading to victory, particularly in the Philippines. He's featured on this $5 gold coin. And we also see him featured on coins from other countries. So remember Lauren Garden Fraser, who designed that gold quarter I showed you? Well, she also designed some coins for the Philippines that came out after World War II. This one was minted in San Francisco. Defender and liberator of the Philippines, General Douglas MacArthur. And on the reverse, we see Philippines, 1 peso. So he's featured on this 47 1 peso, as well as on this 47 50 centavos. But he was also featured in 1980 again on a Philippine coin. This 25 peso Philippine coin, which is a 50% fine silver coin proof. And there he is with his big corncob pipe and his sunglasses on. So, and this is him actually landing in the Philippines, walking up on the beach. Some other cool coins we have here are, let's see, where is it? We have the Civil War Battlefield Memorial from 1995. And we have, a soldier helping a wounded soldier on the battlefield here, minted in Philadelphia, as designated by the P. And in great deeds, something abides. On great fields, something stays. Forms change and pass, bodies disappear, but spirits linger to consecrate ground for the vision place of souls. Joshua Chamberlain. We have the West Point Commemorative, obviously the bicentennial of that very famous and distinguished military school, from which many of the people we're looking at today graduated. We have the Korean Memorial that came out, so 38th anniversary. That's kind of a strange anniversary, but the 38th anniversary of the Korean War. We have the fighter jets blasting overhead and the infantrymen charging uphill. And there's the battle lines being drawn on the Korean Peninsula. We have this wonderful Semper Fidelis Marine Corps commemorative featuring the anchor through the globe with the eagle sitting on top there, and Iwo Jima, and then planting the very famous scene of them planting the flag up on top of Iwo Jima. We have the prisoner of war. And, in every war, people get taken prisoner, and some of them never come home. We have a nice cameo proof on the right, minted in Philadelphia, and a circulation strike minted in West Point. Both of them featuring the Liberty, Freedom, and the Eagle on the obverse. But it's not just men that serve in the military. This is the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and this this commemorates women in the military, 1994, women in the military. And this is the Women in the Military Service Memorial. So that's what this, in fact, commemorates. We also have coins like this that feature military things, like you see the military boots there. So this is when the National Guard was called in to desegregate the schools in Little Rock at the Central High School. And let me look around. Do I have anything else? Oh, I've been working with a bunch of Civil War tokens, and we can see on these guys, well, let me flip this one over, that we have, commemorations of the war effort back in the Civil War for the Army and the Navy that are featured on, these tokens that circulated in the place of money. One that I thought I had, I was looking for it everywhere. I'm going to find it, is the Vietnam Memorial. That one I could have sworn I had it. I cannot locate it, and it's kind of bumming me out because that's a really cool one, Vietnam Memorial one. There's also a bunch of other ones that come out. There's some Marine Corps ones that are out now. We have the Army, Navy Privy, the Marine Privy Silver Eagle that came out yesterday, and a whole host of other things. And I wish I had more to show you, but that's it for today. I hope everyone's having a happy Veterans Day, that we're remembering the people that served, and remembering that freedom is not free. As always, thank you guys for watching, and happy collecting.